Welcome to episode 230 of the 2-Minute Warning. Today I'm going over whether or not Stefon Diggs is the best receiver in the NFL. Came off a huge win last night in Monday Night Football. Bills versus Patriots. Josh Allen had a great game himself. However, Stefon Diggs having 3 touchdowns for a wide receiver, that's very rare in the league. However, Davante Adams did it himself this weekend on Sunday Night Football, so I guess he can't brag about it that much because another guy, his biggest competition, probably did it himself too. Offensive Player of the Year, I got to say, is getting real close between Davante Adams, Stefon Diggs, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara getting 6 touchdowns. Great race for Offensive Player of the Year. MVP race we know is going to come down to quarterbacks. Video is about looking at the receivers and Stefon Diggs, whether or not he's the best. Stefon Diggs is currently leading the league in NFL receiving yards. I believe he's at 1,459. Travis Kelce, you almost have to consider him as a wide receiver. At this point, he's second in the league in receiving. That's something a tight end doesn't do. He set the all-time receiving yards for a tight end this season. I'm going to classify him as a wide receiver for the sake of this video. Number 3 in receiving yards, I believe, is DeAndre Hopkins. Number 4 is Davante Adams. Number 5 is Calvin Ridley. And then you got some guys between 6 through 10, such as Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, leading in receiving yards. I don't know exactly where they are, 6 through 10, but I know they're in that list. Receiving touchdowns, Stefon Diggs is at number 1 at 15. Kelce is tied with him at 15, and DeAndre Hopkins is tied with him at 15. So, looking at it, I believe Stefon Diggs was an amazing trade for the Bills, and he is a top 5 receiver in the league, no doubt. But to me, I love Stefon Diggs, yes, top 5, but his physicality limits him in a certain aspect. Yeah, I think he's about 5'10", and he has crazy speed, he has a dog mentality, and he has great hands. However, when Davante Adams is pretty much similar player to him, he has crazy speed, amazing hands, and a dog mentality. However, has a 6'1", 6'2" frame. I just like that over Stefon Diggs due to the physicality. I get that's kind of a small minor factor when comparing these receivers, but when they're that good, you have to nitpick them and go down to the exact, statistic, the exact little factor that is going to bring one guy over the other. Same with DeAndre Hopkins. He might be number one, number 2. It's really close between Davante Adams and DeAndre Hopkins. You got other guys that are arguably in the conversation. Tyreek Hill, fastest dude in the league, probably the best route runner. Him and Davante Adams are the best route runners. And you got DK Metcalf, probably the best physicality in the league, being the next Megatron for the most part. So yes, Stefon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, Davante Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, DK Metcalf. You can even throw Julio Jones in there if he's healthy, Michael Thomas if he's healthy. Like I said, Travis Kelce. If you're picking a receiver, if you take Travis Kelce number 1 overall, it's not my pick, but I wouldn't blame you. The dude's playing like any receiver in the league. He's a beast. But like I said, between roughly my top 5 off the top of my head, DK Metcalf, Davante Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyreek Hill, and Stefon Diggs. Each of them got their own pros and cons. However, to me, DeAndre Hopkins and Davante Adams has exactly what Stefon Diggs has, just a little bit more. Davante Adams has the physicality on Stefon, I believe, and DeAndre Hopkins has a little bit better hands of Stefon Diggs. It's really a 9 out of 10 compared to 10 out of 10. It's really not that much better, but DeAndre Hopkins, his drop rate is like 0%. He pretty much catches the ball anytime he gets the ball thrown to him. Stefon Diggs arguably might be faster than those dudes, but it's really close. I just like physicality and having pretty much the same speed, same dog mentality, and same hands. I'm going to take the 6'2" frame over the 5'10" Stefon Diggs. Now, maybe if you take Davante Adams and put him on another team and he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers, he might not be the number 1 receiver in the league. He might not be over Stefon Diggs, over DeAndre Hopkins. But he does have Aaron Rodgers, so you have to consider that. Same with Stefon Diggs himself. He really wasn't in this number 1, top 5, top 3 conversation when he had Kirk Cousins. Yes, we knew he was a phenomenal talent, but having Josh Allen and getting those amount of targets, this amount of receiving yards, this amount of touchdowns, he's definitely upped his game. And it's a benefit to both him and the Bills and Josh Allen overall. Not trying to knock him at all for that. I definitely think he deserves credit. However, I just think, like I said, due to physicality, DeAndre Hopkins have a little better hands. Tyreek Hill's speed, I don't think I'd take Stefon number 1. Now, if I have the 3rd pick of receivers, I'm going to happily probably take Stefon Diggs. But to me, he's just not number 1 just yet. I like it on Davante Adams and what he does with Aaron Rodgers. I like DeAndre Hopkins and what he does with Kyler Murray. To me, if DeAndre Hopkins, yes, he's had Deshaun Watson. Yes, he has Kyler Murray. But to me, if you give him an Aaron Rodgers, he will easily be the best receiver in the league, and it won't even be a debate by any means. So that kind of limits DeAndre Hopkins a little bit. I think if you give him a better quarterback, he'll be the number one, hands down. A lot of people have him number one, but hands down, he would have it if he had one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And then DK Metcalf, he would probably be in this top 3 list and even number 1 if Russell Wilson and that offense didn't become all stagnant this past second half of the season. We know Russell Wilson and the Seahawks can put up numbers just like any other team. However, this past few weeks, they have been pretty boring offensively and haven't done much. They've been relying on Chris Carson in their run game, which isn't a bad thing. It's just we haven't seen a very, lethal, deep threat through the air from Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Therefore, DK Metcalf takes a hit. Stefon Diggs, I know that I keep coming back to it, but to me, the only knock is his physicality, and even then, it's not holding him back by any means in this season. I'm not trying to say, his physicality limits him, and that's why he's not a number 1 receiver, and that's why he sucks. I love Stefon Diggs. He's an amazing receiver, but Davante Adams, to me, is a very similar receiver to him, and he's just having that 6'2" frame and a slightly better route running, I think. I'm going to take Davante Adams as my number 1. DeAndre is probably number 2. Number 3, Stefon. Number 4 and 5 is probably going to interchange between Tyreek Hill and DK Metcalf. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If this is insane, if Stefon is easily number 1, if he shouldn't even be top 5, you know what I mean. Let me know what you think. 2-minute warning.